Welcome, I'm Tiffany Wong, and here's what happened this week. Taiwan's cabinet has unveiled details about next year's general budget proposal. While it outlined its focus areas for the 2027 spending plan, the announcement also came with a personal plea from the premier. Leslie Liao reports.
The cabinet has proposed a general budget for 2027 totaling $123 billion US dollars, roughly 30% higher than the proposal for this year. Despite the jump in spending, the government says the budget is balanced and that record government revenue means debt will not increase. The budget focuses on 6 key areas: smart technology, defense, social benefits, soft power, distributed growth, and sustainable development. It includes $21.7 billion US dollars for Taiwan's defense ministry, but the country's overall defense spending will reach $35 billion US dollars, bringing it in line with the NATO benchmark.
而按照北大西洋公约组织的标准，整体的国防经费是达到1兆1225亿元，占 GDP 的比例逾3%。
The cabinet has also earmarked funds for the public to receive $300 US dollars per person to share gains from the country's booming tech sector. But the bill is far from passed.
审查预算应该要合理的审查，也应该要按照宪法的期限来完成这个审查。因为在这次115年度的中央政府总预算中是严重的拖延。
The 2026 budget wasn't approved by Taiwan's opposition-led legislature until last week, making it the longest delay on record. As the premier and cabinet appealed to agencies and lawmakers to overcome political differences, the government now faces the challenge of avoiding similar delays in the next budget cycle. Howard Zhang, Luffy Li, and Leslie Liao for TaiwanPlus.
Taiwan's planned defense spending for 2027 has reached $35 billion US dollars, about the NATO standards of 3% of GDP. What does this say about Taiwan's commitment to strengthening its defense capabilities? Our reporter Alan Liu spoke with Shenming Shi, a research fellow at the Institute for National Defense and Security Research, to find out more.
By NATO standards, Taiwan's proposed 2027 defense budget will reach a record $35 billion US dollars, which is equivalent to about 3.9% of GDP. How significant is this increase in Taiwan's defense spending?
Okay, we know that the so-called NATO model or NATO standard refers to a conventional military defense budget of 3.5% of GDP, with another 1.5% allocated to cybersecurity, defense industrial, and critical infrastructure. We can see that the Taiwan next year defense budget is expected to be around 3.9%, demonstrating Taiwan defense determination and can gain the trust and support from the United States, especially President Trump.
We've seen in recent years the U.S. has repeatedly called on its Indo-Pacific allies to spend more on their own defense. Do you think Taiwan's proposed budget for next year meet those expectations?
Taiwan's defense budget appears to be in line with the United States expectation. It also promotes cooperation between United States and Taiwan in defense, industrial, and significantly drive United States $14 billion on sale to Taiwan. The United States National Defense Strategy report calls for First Island Chain country to strengthen their deterrence capability, and defense budget are a clear indicator.
We know 2027 is often considered a critical year because the POA plans to have built the capabilities needed for a potential Taiwan invasion by then. So looking at Taiwan's current military investment, how prepared do you think Taiwan is?
We can see that about the next year defense budget report from the Executive Yuan press conference revealed that the spending on high-performance fighter jet and increasing and enhancing the capability of the Naval and Air Force and expanding the recruitment of the volunteer soldiers. And procuring some domestically developed defense drone are all preparations made in response to the imminent military threat from the CCP and maybe of the so-called 2027 timeline.
That was Shen Mingshi, a research fellow at INDSR. A retired officer of Taiwan's National Security Bureau has been indicted for passing information to China. The suspect runs a travel business in Palau. Prosecutors say he knew retired intelligence officers like himself are barred from working for hostile foreign forces, but still leaked information to China. This included intelligence on Palau's support for Taiwan's 2021 World Health Assembly bid and information on Taiwan's delegation to a conference on marine conservation in 2022. Taiwanese investigators have indicted at least 58 people for espionage since 2025, half of them active or retired service members. A coastal city in China is proposing measures to deepen ties with Taiwan, including a bridge linking one of Taiwan's outlying islands to the Chinese coast. But as Reese Ayers reports, Taipei says it has no plans to pursue such projects.
The Chinese city of Xiamen has published a long list of proposals to strengthen cross-strait ties. But Taiwan's government says these projects cannot be pursued by one side alone, and they're currently not on its agenda. The 12 measures include the development of infrastructure connecting Xiamen and Jinmen, a Taiwanese island just a few kilometers off the coast of China. Projects like gas pipes and power links, a new dedicated airport terminal, and construction of a bridge to physically connect China with Jinmen. Taiwan's Mainland Affairs Council, which handles relations with Beijing, says it is aware of Xiamen's proposals and will study their implications, but says cross-strait infrastructure cannot be decided by China alone, and that Taiwan has no plans for such projects. The list of measures also calls for closer economic and cultural exchanges, including streamlined fishing and agricultural regulations and the promotion of youth exchanges and collaboration on creative and digital productions. The new 12 measures come after Beijing announced 10 Taiwan-focused policy incentives following Chinese President Xi Jinping's meeting with Zheng Liwen, chair of Taiwan's main opposition Kuomintang, back in April.
两岸应该进一步的筹划与建构具制度性与可持续性的对话合作机制，使两岸的和平发展走向不可逆转。
At the time, the Mainland Affairs Council warned the measures appeared aimed at promoting unification and could harm Taiwan's industries in the long run by increasing their reliance on the Chinese market. An analyst said Xiamen's proposals this time are attempting to bypass conversations with Taiwan's central government.
国共确实在这个选前试图想用会谈措施来营造出一种两岸统战和谐的假象，来去企图对于台湾民众对于中国的这个认知改变，进而造成选举的冲击跟影响。
For Xiamen and China, the measures are a step toward deeper cross-strait integration. But some in Taiwan remain cautious about Beijing's push for closer exchanges as cross-strait tensions remain high. Patrick Chen and Reese Ayers for TaiwanPlus.
Taiwan's political deadlock shows no signs of easing as Premier Zhou Rongcai blocks 2 more bills passed by the opposition-controlled legislature. In a statement, the cabinet announces that Premier Zhou Rongcai has decided not to allow a bill that would fund savings account for children to become law. The opposition-backed policy would have the government deposit about $1,800 a year into savings accounts for children until they turn 18, as part of an effort to address Taiwan's falling birth rate. The cabinet says the bill is unconstitutional, arguing that the executive branch, not the legislature, is responsible for formulating national policies. It also said similar measures are already in place, set to be implemented next year. But opposition lawmakers say the decision shows double standards.
这一个就很清楚的呈现出来它的一个双标，为什么呢？因为同一个时间之内，我们看到的是行政院他宣布推动的人口对策新战略当中有18项的一个措施哦。
On Monday, the premier also refused to countersign another bill that would ease restrictions on the government, political parties, and their affiliates investing in radio and TV channels. It's the 7th bill the premier has blocked by refusing to countersign since December, an approach that had never been used before.
我只能说这个行政院只要是不想做的不愿意做的，他就不部署，已经成为常态了。
Lawmakers from the ruling Democratic Progressive Party say the issue is not with the intent of the legislation, but the legislative process.
两个版本其实同样都是在照顾只是各位可能会百思不得其解，朝野之间没有办法好好的来做一个协商这个是最可惜的一个地方重点就只有一个在野党认为说我要抢这个 credit 我要认为这个是我在野党通过了。
This is not the first time the premier has refused to countersign legislation, and with the opposition in control of the legislature for the next 2 years, it may not be the last. Luffy Lee and Tiffany Wong for TaiwanPlus. Artificial intelligence is changing what students think about the value of a computer science degree. At National Taiwan University, computer science fell from 4th to 11th in popularity this year, as students worry that AI will replace coding skills. Our reporter Lily Lamatina finds out from the students themselves.
For years, computer science was one of the most sought-after college degrees in Taiwan. Software engineers were in high demand, with high salaries and the promise of stable careers. But AI is changing that narrative. At National Taiwan University, computer science fell from 4th to 11th in popularity this year, a shift sparking debate among students online. Some worry AI could replace coding work, making a computer science degree less competitive in the job market. But some students on campus say they still see the value of the degree.
我选了一个相对自己有兴趣的科系，我觉得还是会念完。对，那就算它可能，我觉得 AI 就算会影响到我的未来的走向，但是我觉得 AI 取代掉一部分的。 之后可能还会有其他更新颖的工作会出现。
That optimism is shared by both undergraduate and graduate students alike. They argue that computer science can still provide a foundation for adapting as technology changes.
但是我们念资工系的同学，我会觉得说，因为我们有这样子的这个 background 的 knowledge， 那我们以后要去探索一些更深或更就是更有潜力发展的应用的时候。 它其实是会比非资工系的同学还来得更有优势。
Professors are also rejecting the idea that AI makes coding skills obsolete. They say students still need to understand the foundations behind the technology.
寻找资讯search 这个 database 这些底层的东西语言，然后整体团体的架构这些都是重要的啦。
AI may reduce demand for some entry-level work, but students say the key is adding courses in addition to coding that broadens their skills.
那我觉得其实并不会说找不到工作，因为刚刚讲了，可能会被取代的是就是只会打程式的。对，那但是我觉得我们资工系，如果你有去修一些其他的课或者外系的课，那有补足其他领域的知识的话，我觉得反而我们其实是更有优势的。
Young professionals are also having to adapt.
那我觉得你现在进来的学生，他学的一定还是新的东西嘛，然后以后一定还是会不断的去演变这样子。对，但我觉得就是科技就是这样那我觉得现在进来的学生还是可以学到他未来需要的东西，那可以再学到更新的东西，就是我觉得应该是可以的啦。
For students, the question is less whether AI will change their careers, rather whether they can keep changing with it. Klein Wong and Lily Lamatina for TaiwanPlus.
Thanks for joining us on Here's What Happened. Finally, we take a look at the Vintage Computer Festival in Silicon Valley, where enthusiasts are bringing old technology back to life. I'm Tiffany Wong. Take care and see you next week.